Hey guys, this is Anthea for GALvanize and welcome to the Who Not Do series. And for today's episode, I will be interviewing or talking with Shireen Ahmed, one of the delegates that we are going to talk about. And I personally got inspired by her work, and I am super excited to talk to her. And I'm sure that you guys will enjoy the time. And before getting into the interview, I will just give a quick info about what she does. She's a writer, a speaker, and she's a coach, and also been doing a podcast called Burn It All Down. It is a feminist oriented podcast. Those are really inspiring episodes, so make sure to check them out. And let us get into the interview for today. So, welcome, Sharon.
Thank you so much.
So, first, when I was trying to introduce you with all the achievements that you did, I really found it so difficult because there are lots of achievements that you have succeeded. So, if you personally had to choose one among those achievements, what would it be?
Do you mean professional or do you mean personal?
A professional one, according to you.
Professional. I think being part of the Burn It All Down podcast is probably, we've been doing this for 3 years. So it's a very long time, and it's a collaboration of 5 women. It started, and then we've grown to expand our team. We're looking for a producer right now, but we have a social media manager. And working in this collaboration has been one of the most consistent and really important and powerful things I've ever done, like any type of project I've ever worked on, because the vision of the 5 of us is very similar. And I've never worked with a group like this before, where we come from, even within sports media and the academic world that focuses on sports. I've never found people with very similar and sort of what would be considered, we're a little bit, we're disruptors, and we sort of agitators, I guess you could say, the status quo. And it's something I'm so incredibly proud of and still am.
So, since you brought it up, so what is your personal achievement that you're proud of?
My kids, 100% my children. I'm, very lucky. I got married and had children quite young. And sort of would think about, oh my goodness, like everybody's in their 20s and out like partying and having a career and having life. And I was blessed with 4 children, and they've grown up. I have 2 in uni and, 2 in, they're older now, but I'm enjoying them tremendously. And I really enjoy spending time with them. And that will probably be my favorite thing. Favorite personal thing is definitely my kids.
That's beautiful. So I heard one of your TED Talks, and I heard you state that you were one of the, you were an outsider in your team when you started playing soccer. So, and I'm sure that it wasn't the last time that you felt that way because of the color. And while contemplating that statement, I found that might actually be an advantage because you stand out and you stand out because of your color and your identity. So have you ever felt that the color and the identity has been one of the positive points to express yourself in the field?
I think that just who I am generally, I'm grateful for. But has it been helpful in my career path? No, not necessarily, and I'll tell you why. It's not because I have a problem with who I am. I love who I am, and I'm very grateful to my parents and my community for, really helping me reinforce and be proud of who I am. The problem isn't me. The problem is the systems that exist within the industry. The problem is the hiring practices and the lack of inclusion and the predominantly white men who run the industry. That's the problem. So I think when we talk about how I fit in there, I couldn't do anything but embrace who I am, which is what I tell people to do, understanding that it's not easy And I understand why people make different choices that I do. I know that there are racialized writers who choose not to talk about that and prefer to blend in. I know of individuals who don't want to address race or gender or any type of issue because they just don't feel comfortable and don't want to stand out more. And there's always this misconception of what the norm is, because currently I don't look like what media looks like, sports media in particular. And that's what we're seeking to change. But there have been challenges in my career. My emails have been passed over. Nobody knew my name for a very long time, and many people still don't. I've been lucky. There's a lot of, sort of attention paid to how many followers you have on social media and where are you getting published. Well, you can't flaunt bylines if you're never asked to write anywhere. Mm-hmm. And you're nodding because you know what that feels like. And there was early parts of my career, I would self-publish on my blog because nobody would take my work.
Yeah, as you mentioned, like despite being kilometers away and like with different time scale, I can still understand that, and I can still feel you. And that's why you are inspiring a lot of people like me, and I would definitely credit you for that. So thank you. As you mentioned, that it was hard to voice out, and there might have been hard times. And when did you exactly find that your voice, or whether it's in speaking or writing, actually started reaching people? When was that breakout moment?
Oh, that's a great question. I can pinpoint it to the day. Like I'm a scribe and I've been writing forever. I write in journals, I comment, I write very long Facebook posts, but when my work started getting attention was 2014. I had written a blog post about March, and I know the day. It was March 1st, 2014, the day that FIFA, the governing organization of football globally, had decided that they would repeal their hijab ban. So this hijab ban, head covering ban, that affected Sikhs with turbans or Jewish men with a kippah or a woman in hijab, when they decided they were going to allow them. So I wrote a blog post. It was more of an opinion piece. I mean, to be honest, people that are columnists call them columns and opinion pieces. And, it was a blog post about how I felt and how exhausted I was and how tired I was and frustrated at having been excluded. So I got a call, an email. I don't know how this person found my email and said, I saw your blog post and I would really like to put it on Huffington Post. And I thought, okay, sure. And they said, we can't pay you because you've already published it, but we really want to amplify it. And I said, okay, that's fine. But nobody had ever asked or thought to ask a woman who actually wears a hijab, who played football. Nobody knew where to find that person. And she certainly wasn't in mainstream sports media. So that went viral pretty well back 2014. And I, got an opportunity from there to meet who is now one of my mentors. His name is Dave Zirin. I can't believe I said Steve. And Dave had me on his radio show. And then when you get the backing of somebody like that, who's quite, established and popular and has a huge reach, and they start backing you, it can change a career. And that's what it did for me.
So you have got a lot in your bag as a journalist. So to a lot of young adults, like young women of color, or even from minority groups who are striving to do something in the field of journalism as a whole, what would be your words of advice or just some motivational statements that can actually inspire them today?
I would say seek out community, racialized community, seek out a mentor. I did. And I mentor a lot of either young women or racialized youth wanting to get into sports media. I've been very lucky. Like in Toronto, it's kind of like I'm even part of the Canadian Association of Journalists of Color. And I think that's really important to be in those spaces, because it's not to say that everybody will have the same opinions as you, but it's to say this is a place for us who have often experienced racial abuse, sexism, xenophobia, like Islamophobia in that case as well. It's a space that we can feel a little bit more safe, because there's a lot of systemic racism and prejudice that occurs in journalism in this country. This industry can be very stifling, and it can be isolating. And spaces like I mentioned, getting community and finding other people helps break down that isolation, and you feel more connected to other people. And I've certainly benefited from these spaces, and I do my best to try to amplify and suggest to other people. And I've made some of my closest friends in this industry in these spaces, and it makes you realize that you're truly not alone. And I'm considered maybe a little bit old, like, I'm in my 40s, so I'm older. And if I can give people that support, and I tell youth and all the time, reach out to me, email me. I will try to help you if I can. And the one thing that media in Canada has made people feel like, particularly racialized people, and we call it BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, or people of color, make us feel like we have to fight for scraps. When the reality is there's room for everybody's voices. And that's one thing I would like to simply remind aspiring journalists, is that there is room for you. There's absolutely room for you, and we're not going to take no for an answer. And people used to say to me, there's no chair for me there's no seat at the table. And my answer would be like, build your own effing chair and take it. And now I'm at a point where I don't want to just build a chair. I'm going to build a whole dining room. And I want all those people to feel like their voices matter, because they really do.
Wow, that was so deep and beautiful. Thank you so much. And I personally would say that if there is no chair for you, you are going to be the actual speaker, so you don't need a chair. You're gonna
That's great.
get on the stage and talk. So they're just gonna sit and watch you. So I'm
That's
sorry.
I never thought of that. That's so great.
So thank you so much, Shireen. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughtful words. Thank you so much, Shireen.
Thank you for having me, Anthea.